Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
We all know those GLP-1 injections work wonders, but that price tag almost gave me a heart attack when my insurance denied coverage. I was staring at a choice between paying my mortgage or paying for weight loss. Talk about a rock and a hard place. Then I found Elevate Health compounded semaglutide at just $58 with payment plans that don't require a second mortgage. Same medication, same results, but a price that real folks can actually afford. Visit joinelevate.com today. That's JOINELEVATE.com. Your wallet will be as happy as your waistline. This medication is not FDA approved.
Chaudhary, and I am here with great pop culture debates, Rezsnyak.
Hello.
And Ashley Runkles and Sierra Roberson from the Weekly Dose of Wicked.
Hey. Hello.
To talk to you, I've talked to you guys about everything happening in our worlds this week. How are you guys today? Clearly, my words have left me.
I'm doing great. I hope you guys are good.
Yep, I'm hashtag thriving, living the dream, all of those things that are completely not true, but we say just to get through the day.
I love it. I love it. So to everybody listening, if you're listening live on Wizard Radio Station, where we do the thing live every Sunday from 8, you can get involved by sending us a message. You can tweet us or DM us on Instagram and Twitter at Wiz Radio. You can even drop us a text, 078-071-83538. You can email us, station@wizardradio.com. And all of our contact details, as always, are on our website, which is www.wizardradio.com. So guys, how is everybody's Sunday going? Is everybody here in the UK? I just assumed that you guys were all in the UK, but it doesn't sound like any of you guys are.
No.
Eric, do you want to tell us where you are, and then Ashley?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm here in New York City, technically Queens, which is right outside of it. It is a muggy, cloudy day in New York, and I am recovering from a party for my partner's birthday last night, so that's my Sunday.
I love that. And Ashley and Sierra?
We're in North Carolina, so we're in the same zone as you, Eric, I would think, right? It's a little earlier in the day, and it's hot. It's so hot. It's 85 degrees today.
I think it's hotter than that. I think it's almost 90.
Well, I checked the weather because it says 85, but it is definitely hot. It's gross, and it's not. It's just like dry heat.
You see me nodding because I don't know what 90 degrees Fahrenheit means in Celsius, but it's hot. I'm sure it is. I was just at a picnic with my friends, and it's just gotten a little bit nippy at the moment, but we don't have a summer here, very, very tragically. It's a conversation for a different show. I could talk about that for an entire hour.
Well, now with global warming, maybe you will.
Well, yeah. I feel like we might have lost it because of global warming.
Oh,
does that make sense? I feel like we had it. So I'm not from here. I grew up in a different country. But when I moved to the UK, we had really warm summers. Nothing as warm as India, which is where I'm from, but we had really warm summers, and we had proper snowy winters, and we had autumns. I know that's not a word, but we had distinct seasons, and now all of our seasons are rain. I like the rain, but it's a little bit sad that everything is rain. It's hot and it rains. It's cold and it rains. The leaves are falling and so is the rain. So I feel like global warming has taken it away from us, and we don't really get that much snow.
That sounds dreadful. I'm not going to lie. I love your city, by the way. I love London, but that sounds terrible.
No, it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I acknowledge that. But it was better when we were, you know, when we were younger. And then in India, it's too hot now. So it's good that I wouldn't be able 51 degrees. How are people doing anything?
I'm trying to think, how could we convert that to Fahrenheit? And I have no idea, but I'm going to guess that's probably 90s and above.
Yeah.
Up higher.
You said 4?
Way more than that. But I
Celsius, like 129 Fahrenheit.
Oh my God. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything that's triple digits, it's a no for me. Thanks. Yeah.
I pulled up the converter because I wanted to know what our 90 degrees was in Celsius.
Perfect.
It was 30 degrees Celsius.
Right. Hot. I got it. Perfect. So I think, guys, this is a good time to get into our first topic of discussion, which is school, you know? So I wanted to know, I'll tell you guys about mine in a bit, but Eric, do you want to start us off about school? How was school for you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be coming from a little bit of a different generation than most of the people on this episode. So I actually went to school, and this is not a joke, in the 1980s. I started grammar school in 1983, and I graduated high school in 96. So my schooling is a little bit different, and I know that we were going to talk about this in regards to the challenges that are being faced by teachers and administrations currently, where there's how do you get kids off of their phones? How do you use technology in a way that actually teaches them but doesn't distract them? And so for me, the technological component, I'm going to be really honest, we didn't have computers until I was in middle school. I feel so old saying that, but it's true. Like literally, I remember playing Oregon Trail. And do you guys know what Oregon Trail is? Is that something that means anything to anybody in this call?
No.
Okay, no, I'm proper old, as I think you would say in the UK. So like that came in when I was in like 8th grade. And this is not a joke. I swear to you, this is true. When I was graduating high school was the first time I even heard about email. And someone's like, can I send you this on email? I was like, why wouldn't you just tell me in person? Like, I didn't understand the concept. So I acknowledge that my schooling is a little bit different. I'd love to hear about everybody else's. And then I'm curious to hear the challenges that modern students are facing, because in many ways, like your summers, I think I had it so much easier when I was a kid.
Can I just start off by saying you said you finished school in 1996?
Correct.
I would have thought you were basically my age or just a little bit old. There's no way I thought you. I can't do the maths, but that is, 'cause I was born in 95, so I can do the maths. But that's so. Yeah, okay. I'm really bad at judging ages, clearly.
Well, it's number 1, moisturize, ladies and gentlemen. Number 2, it's not from Clean Living. I can tell you that. But thank you.
I love that. So my schooling is weird in the sense that I've studied in 3 countries. So I, like I said, was born in India, and then I moved to the Netherlands, and then I moved to the UK. I've done the bulk of my studies here in the UK, but I've been to every different type of school there is under the sun. So I've studied in private schools, in state schools, in grammar schools, and I feel like my age range, you know, I finished high school in 2012, and I did A levels, so year 12 and 13 in 2014, and then I went to uni in 2014. So we were, I guess, a transition year. So technology is very incorporated now. But for us, we were in school when Snapchat was created, and we were in school when Facebook was created, and, you know, when WhatsApp became a thing. And it was very interesting. Music teacher said, please make a Facebook account. This is how I'm going to talk to you guys for your GCSE prep, for your exam prep. So a lot of social media apps and a lot of accounts that we made were because they were something that we needed, not necessarily wanted. And now people use them because it's a want rather than a need. So I feel like we were the generation where they were a requirement, and now it's like everybody has one, right?
Yeah.
Right. What about you guys, Ashley, Ciara? How was your schooling?
So I graduated in 2010. So I'm a little bit older than you and a little younger than you. So I would say, honestly, though, I mean, I think school was fine. We definitely had technology as early as like elementary school for me. We had computer lab, and I had a cell phone in high school. I mean, I think that technology was definitely there. I would say overall, though, yeah, we had social media because we wanted it. I never had any teacher or professor tell me I had to have social media other than like the college specific, like Blackboard or like, you know, those kinds of websites. And then Ashley's younger than me, so I don't know. I feel like you had a cell phone in like kindergarten.
It was third grade.
I think it was kindergarten.
That's
I think it was kindergarten.
I did not. I got one in third grade. Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of technology, but like we really didn't use it that much.
No.
I definitely feel like it was more like it was fun to use, so that's why we used the technology, but most of our education was paper and pencil.
Yeah. And now they get a computer from school. Like they come home with one.
Yeah,
which is crazy to me.
They give up laptops and Chromebooks, and I get it, because actually in a way it's good, and it helped a lot of people during COVID because they were able to study from home, especially families where there are a large number of kids in a family. So my little sister's nearly 10 years younger than me, so we are an entire like generation apart. So when COVID hit, I was working, and so she had her own laptop set up for studying at home, and I had my own for work from home. So it was fine, it was easy for us. But there are a lot of people who, there were like 4 or 5 kids in a similar age group, and they only had 1 or 2 computers. So I feel like it became, especially post-COVID, it's become a huge part of so many people's lives, and especially at school, because a lot of schools haven't, here in the UK at least, they've not transitioned away from the whole COVID situation. So a lot of them still have online classes. A lot of them will be very reliant on online work. And I feel like maybe pre-COVID, tech was there, obviously, but we weren't as reliant on it. And now
for
all
sure.
the maths homework, all of my students, so I run a tutoring center as well. And all of their maths homework is on the computer, which is baffling to me because I've always done maths with a pen and not even a pen, a pencil and a paper. Yeah. So I feel like that's where the difference lies, you know?
I think it's great that the technology component, as someone who's your rickety crickety Gen X uncle, I turn to the kids who like grew up with this stuff in their schools and say, I can open a PDF, I swear. But like when it's other stuff, I had to have a friend like switch me from PlayStation to Switch yesterday. And like you guys are ingrained. That's ingrained in it's your nativists to it is what I believe they call it. And that is such a huge skill and such a great thing for you to have those tools without even realizing you have them. Whereas the older generations, we didn't have any of that. Like they taught us how to write cursive, which is a completely useless skill.
Yeah, why?
Like
because I write cursive, but
it's totally useless. Yeah, like what is that helpful for? Whereas knowing how to plug in various ancillary devices and how to navigate from app to app, that's actually a useful skill for the real world. So I think technology in the classroom is great. I think the challenge is how do you keep it in a learning environment and not getting distracted? And I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. The other element, and I'd be curious for my fellow Americans to comment on this, if I had a child in school now, I would want them to have a cell phone with them at all times, given the very real safety concerns that they have to live with now, unfortunately. I don't think taking away cell phones is practical. Also, I think it's an invasion of privacy.
I agree 100%. So I have 3 kids, and all of my kids are school age. I homeschool my kids, so I don't deal with the public school system. But if they were, I would 100% want all of them to have a way to contact me because American schools are terrifying. Like U.S. schools are terrifying. The things that happen in, elementary school, middle school, you have kids bringing guns to school. You have bomb threats. I mean, I would honestly be terrified all day, every day. So I agree.
Is that the case?
I was just going to say, can I ask, is that the reason you're homeschooling?
No, but I feel like it's a reason why I need homeschool. I started homeschooling because my oldest has severe anxiety and she had a very hard transition into kindergarten. And then COVID shut everything down and my plan was to send her back, and COVID shut everything down. And I was like, I can't consciously send her back in this craziness because it'll just make her anxiety worse. So at that point, we just stuck with it. And it's always been my plan at some point to send them back to public school. But every time I feel like something stops me, and we just do another year. And so now youngest is going into 1st grade. My middle is going into 2nd grade. My oldest is going into 5th grade. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever go back, honestly. I hope one day. I want them to have that, like high school. High school was fun. I want them to have that. But at the same time, it terrifies me.
Can I ask, are the UK schools dealing with this same thing? I feel like it's become so almost accepted in America at this point that they're going to have these horrible crises in schools. I'm curious for other countries, A, do you deal with this? And B, if you, what do you think of what we're dealing with? I love to get dragged by international folks, so.
No, so we don't necessarily have any issues on that scale. We London is a big hub for knife crime, but whilst we have incidents in schools, they're very isolated incidents. We have the usual fights, students get in trouble. We have police officers stationed at most schools anyway, depending on the school area and the district that they're in. But we don't necessarily have an issue as big as we hear that the states have, right? And so even though there are no such issues here, I'm a big believer in the fact that phones should be kept with students at all time, right? Just because it's not safe anyway, and my brain is more worried about kidnapping, the kidnapping aspect of things and abduction rather than anything else. But there are incidents that happen, and so you want the students to feel safe. My sister started to go to school and she traveled to school on her own from 7th grade, from year 7. She'd get into a school coach, but we never felt comfortable with her not having a phone, and so she always had a phone. And so we have that. In terms of what you guys are facing, we hear the news and we hear it a lot, and it's really upsetting. I have family in the US, nobody with little kids, but it's really upsetting hearing it, because it's like there's nothing we can do about it, and it makes us feel, it breaks our hearts, so we can't even imagine what you guys are going through. So I completely understand. And my dad used to live in the States before I was born, and he always says that he's in a way glad that he didn't go back, because he was like, I wouldn't know what to do, like I wouldn't be able to let you leave the house as a young kid.
Yeah,
I feel like that's how we feel here, though, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a parent of young people, I'd love to hear your point of view on that.
No, I just think I don't think we know what to do either. Like, there's nothing we can do to stop it. And it comes to a point where you have to, like, the drills that they do and the way they prepare them. Well, let's play a game if an active shooter enters the school. And that also caused a lot of anxiety for my daughter. And that's not something that they should have to worry about. They're 5 years old when they go into school at 5. That's not something that they need to worry about. And you look at like all these parents that are buying their kids, $500 bulletproof backpacks. And what have we come to that we have to buy bulletproof backpacks for our children to attend public school where they should be safe? And we do have armed police officers. At our schools, at least in North Carolina. And I don't know, there was a North Carolina school shooting though. I'm not sure. There was one in North, and we have armed officers, and it just doesn't really seem like it does much. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's really no answer, I don't think, for what we can do.
Yeah, I remember reading about the bulletproof backpacks and just feeling like we have really problematic situations here. We have a lot of gang violence. We have a lot of problems with this young people getting roped into drug dealing. But not that we're comparing, but it makes reading the fact that people are buying their 5-year-olds these bulletproof backpacks, and then you're looking at the fights breaking out in schools here. You're like, it gives you perspective. I think that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a niece who's about to graduate high school in about 3 weeks. And obviously you have a tremendous sense of pride, but there's also a tremendous sense of relief that literally she was able to get through this experience. And that's crazy that I have to have a sense of relief that my niece survived her teenage years. Like, that's really sobering. And it's a crazy time that we live in. That's where I am.
For sure.
Yeah. I agree. And I think each country has their own issues to face, but we hear so much about the States, obviously, here in the UK, and it just feels like it's a humongous problem that no one really knows how to fix. I feel like that's what makes it worse, right? Like, it's a problem, we don't know how to fix it. Whereas with other countries, you're like, okay, this is broken in the school system, we can do this to fix it, we just maybe don't have the finances. But it's very, I think you use the word sobering, and that's the perfect way of saying it, is that it's very sobering because you have something that's the worst, it's horrible, and then you feel helpless because you're like,
Yeah.
what can anybody do? So I understand that there's pride, but there's relief, and it's sad. I think guys, this might be a good place for us to take a little breath, take a little breather. To everybody listening, we will be right back after the break where we will discuss, I believe we're discussing something very interesting. I think we're discussing space. So we'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome back to Doing the Thing. I'm Eric Rezsnyak from the Great Pop Culture Debate, and we are going to talk a little bit about space, the final frontier. It's a place where apparently no one can hear you scream, but there's a lot going on in space. It's a big open space, but we have multiple international entities that are now kind of ramping up this space race. I know that China has been doing more lunar landings. I believe India and Japan have been doing new shuttles. And I wanted to ask my panelists, do you have any thoughts about this and where do we stand? Lekhika, do you mind kind of kicking us off?
I love space, you guys. I love space. When I was 5, my mom bought me a book, an encyclopedia, and it was 30 books, and the only one I read fully was the one about space. I wanted to study space at uni, but I couldn't find a viable career, so I did something else. But I love the idea of going to space. I just feel like we need to go past the moon. I love the moon. I think she's great. She's amazing. Slay, love her.
Mm-hmm.
But can we go past it, please? I know there's so much more out there. And I know we have limitations on the technology. There's only so much we can go. We can't really go past the solar system. I get it. But I feel like we need to go past it because if we all keep aiming for that, and I know India went to Mars, so I love that. So if we could try and go to Mars more, get more data, and then maybe try and go past the asteroid belt. I know it wouldn't be possible to send anything to Jupiter, but just pushing it further. Like, I love, and I know that this is very optimistic considering the first man was on the moon, in my parents' lifetime, so 60 odd years ago. And so we're pushing it, but I feel like with tech evolving, the one thing I want to see with all of these new countries or the same countries trying to get up there is to see people go past the moon. I think we've gone there enough.
Yeah, I have to say, I was thinking about this as when the topics were brought up for discussion. When you think about how fast technology advanced for cars from the 1910s when they were founded to the 1960s to 70s, which is around the same time as the first lunar landing happened now, right? Yeah. Look at the change from the Model T, the first car, to the 1970s Pontiac Firebird, right? I don't feel like we've seen that from the space race, and I'm wondering if our Weak and Wicked folks have any thoughts about that. Ashley or Sierra?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think the moon, every country's been there. So let's move on. Let's get some new technology developed. Go to other places. That'd be cool.
I think we were talking about this earlier, and I don't know about you, Eric, but maybe we just live under a rock because it's an election year in the U.S. I had no idea there was a space race going on. I feel like the news is just politics all day, every day. So I was like, oh, wow, we're having a space race. I had no idea. It's I actually feel a little silly that I had no clue this was even going on.
Well, I'll actually throw this here. Speaking of politics, I wonder if the reasons Americans don't hear that much about it is because we're now losing the space race and all these other countries are ahead of us. And our media, and this is going to sound all conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat, whatever, but they're not going to highlight the fact that we're kind of falling behind.
For sure.
And American exceptionalism, please don't get me started on that. But I don't think they want us to talk about things when we are not necessarily in the lead. Lekhika, you mentioned you want us to see us go past Mars, past Jupiter. I think that the only way we get there is through actual private industry development. That being said, not a huge fan of SpaceX, not a huge fan of Mr. Musk, but do you have any thoughts on the privatization of space travel and where that might actually help us get there?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because I know that for so long NASA was the main thing, right? Everybody knew about NASA and NASA was the one doing all the big things. And it's not to say they're not doing it now. I went to an exhibition a couple of weeks ago about space, about all of the Apollo landings that NASA did and how we only heard about the first one and there were so many after the first one and how they are sending humans to the moon in 2026, I believe it is, that they're going to land. And I love that. But I feel like each country has its own limitations. this is a very big election year for so many countries. The UK one is in 25 days. There's, India's just had one. America's obviously got one. Countries all across the world are having elections. The European Union's having one at the moment. And so space obviously gets put on a back burner because it's not the most important thing for a lot of people at the moment. So then who can step up? Companies, right? And I too am not the biggest fan of SpaceX or Elon Musk, but taking my personal feelings aside, I don't see that there's anything wrong with private companies investing in space travel. If they learn from what's been done by the companies, by the governments, and they build on it, then great, because I would rather the government tries to fix our problems and then let these billionaires try and get to space. I don't mind it. Like, let the government invest in fixing our roads and making education better and fixing healthcare, and then let Elon Musk put 2 billion or 200 million into getting to Mars. That sounds like a fair deal to me, regardless of whether I like him or not.
For sure.
I agree.
Yeah, talk about it. And was that Sierra or Ashley? I'm sorry, I missed you.
It was Sierra.
So talk a little bit about your
I was just going to say, I agree. Like, he came out with this, Cybertruck, right? That's Elon Musk. And that thing looks like it could go to space. So I feel like he definitely could put some money into his space exploration for sure. And yeah, let the government do what they need to do and let them. But then also we have the private companies. I mean, look at the submarine that imploded. So I don't really know. It's another reason why we don't really want to allow them to just have free reign of space exploration.
Yeah, I hear that completely. Although it was other people who also were like, "Hey, I have lots of money. Let's go see the Titanic." It's like, right, or maybe don't.
But I feel like that would be the private companies. They would be like, "Oh, you want to go see the moon? Give me all your money, and I'll take you to the moon."
But the thing is, if we go back to the submarine thing, James Cameron, right, who filmed Titanic, dove down to the submarine like 30 times, and so they had the blueprints. They had the thing that worked. Why they didn't follow the thing that worked is beyond my comprehension. Like, I don't understand. Like, all the engineers talking about this, all my engineer friends were like, yeah, this guy did it so many times. They just didn't follow the plans. And I think that's the same for space. Of course, they'll make mistakes because they're not government backed. They're different, they're private. But I feel like let them make mistakes. Eventually, they'll make something that works and they will privatize it. Around 8 to 10 years ago, I heard that, was it Virgin Atlantic? Richard Branson was saying, oh, I'll pay me 200K and I'll take you to space for 8 minutes. Fine, do it. Because the governments will get there eventually once they fix their own messes. But I just as long as they follow what's working at the moment, because it has been, people have been to the moon and spaceships have gone to Mars and other ships have gone past all the other planets, then I think they'll be fine. It'll just take them a little bit longer, but that's their money that they're investing.
Right. And by all means, spend your money. That's fine.
Please do.
Yeah. I do want to kind of bring back both survival, and we talked about climate change earlier. With climate change happening on the planet, with these changes that were happening, not in probably maybe my or your lifetimes, but the planet conceivably could become inhospitable within the next few generations. Do we think that the moon and or Mars actually could be a viable solution for where humanity has to go once we've basically poisoned this amazing rock that we've all been blessed to live on thus far? Ashley, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm not into space. I'm not into science. So would it be cool to live on the moon? Yeah, I think it would be awesome. It'd be like total like Xenon. I don't know if you guys know that movie.
I was thinking Xenon Girl of the 21st century.
21st century. Get it. Absolutely right. Yes.
Like, it'd be awesome, but is that viable? I have no idea. Not a scientist. That's not my thing. But I think it would be cool. I mean, if it's an option, I think it would be cool to look into it.
Well, I have to say, I'm pretty sure gravity affects your weight. So if that means that just living on the moon loses the 20 pounds that I cannot get rid of, sign me up. Lekhika, as a space person, what are your thoughts? Is it actually conceivable, realistic for us to live on the moon?
So there's no atmosphere on things like the moon, Mars, etc., right? In the sense that that's why they wear suits, they can't breathe outside. It is possible. I don't know if we would see it perhaps, or we might see the start of it, but there are a lot of upcoming missions where the aim is to take people to Mars and then leave them there. And I think that's insanely fascinating. I'm not too sure when that Mars mission is happening, but the aim is to take people there to set up a colony. Now, what's very interesting to me, and it's a slightly sidetrack, is I'm a lawyer. So what's interesting to me is, how is that going to work legally? And I'm fascinated, and this makes me a little bit of a nerd, but I'm interested in how it's going to work legally, because the people going are all from different nationalities.
Yeah.
They're all from different countries. Like, how would it work in terms of treaties? Scientifically, I understand that as long as they set up, they've got those camps that they set up, it is feasible. It would take a lot of time, and it would be a lot of trial and error, and it will cause a lot of issues. They will face a lot of issues, but I feel like once they do that, then starts the other who owns what sort of conversation.
Yeah, neocolonialism. We've done this before. Maybe we can do it better the second time. Fascinating. I do want to take this concept of sci-fi and space and pivot a little bit to pop culture. As you're a lawyer, I'm a pop culture guy. Has anyone here watched Three Body Problem on Netflix? Does anybody know what that show is?
Not yet. It's
No.
on my never-ending list.
So I
No.
will put a big plug for it. It's by the creators of Game of Thrones, which a lot of people hated, and that's why they kind of got review bombed. But it is about space and what actually gets us to the space race. And this is a touchy subject, so please forgive me. But when humanity was faced with the COVID crisis, we had Operation, I forget what it was officially called, but it was basically like Warp Speed, where we massively all kind of got together and developed this vaccine in record time, right? That's essentially what happens in Three Body Problem, where there is a existential crisis to humanity from space, and they all get together and put their resources into getting out into space so that we actually have a fighting chance. And so to me, I'm wondering if that's also part of this conversation, is how do we get ourselves, as it's not individual nations in a space race, it is the entire body of planet Earth getting ourselves together, because within the next few generations, we may be in real trouble. You know what I mean? Any thoughts from that from my Weak and Wicked colleagues?
So realistically, though, we're not all fitting on the moon. So I don't know that everyone's going to come together to get us there. The moon is like 10% the size of Earth or something like that. I mean, we're not all fitting there. So I think realistically, it would be cool for everyone to get together, but it's not going to happen because we're not all going. So I think that's going to be another funny thing of maybe if it comes to a point where we've evaded and head somewhere, it's not going to be all of us. So I don't foresee us all coming together to figure that out.
The haves and the have-nots again. Good, Lekhika,
Yeah.
sorry.
I was just gonna say it's like, is it 2012, that film where the world was ending and people were on the boats?
Yeah.
And not
Yes,
everybody
the
got
little
on it?
shuttles. I love that. And it was money. It was to buy seats. I love
Yes.
that. I love, what are they called? Like
Those apocalyptic
Disaster
Final
film?
Destination. Yes. Apocalyptic movies. Yes. I love
Yes.
them.
Yeah, when in 2012 they said the world was gonna end, and so 50 billion films came out, and they were all about the same thing, but we still watched them all. But that movie stuck with me because it's what you're saying. It's the fact that people only got on there because they had connections or they had money, and that's kind of how a lot of countries work at the moment, right? So going off on a complete tangent, in India, for example, one of the biggest ways to succeed is not necessarily, money is obviously great in every country. Like in every country, you have the money, you're great, you'll do great. But in India, one of the biggest things is connections. So you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have the right connections, you're not going to succeed in whatever it is you're trying to do, and it could be getting your kids into a good school, and you need connections in, or getting to another country, getting train tickets, the nice train ticket, or like whatever it may be. And it impacts it on such a big level. So you're right. Even if everybody comes together to make a solution, it will end up just then being, oh, we need to send all the diplomats and politicians, and oh wait, the billionaires need to go, even though their money is redundant because they're going to a different planet. And then, oh, everybody who's healthy should go, so let's not take anybody who's not healthy, quote unquote. And anybody who's sick, like it will start to trickle down, and then that's the issue that comes with that.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're like, I love disaster movies, because here's the amazing news. You're living in one. It's just you're in
I'm
act
aware.
one.
I'm
Yeah,
aware.
you're soaking in it. Yeah, it is a really interesting kind of political and ethical issue. And I think most of us kind of just put it to the back of our minds, because they're like, well, again, like we were talking about earlier, nothing I can do about this. This is just the situation that I'm in, and I just have to make the best of it. But I do for people who have children, I think like, it's not going to impact me directly, but with like your kids' are
Yep.
really going to be dealing with this. And how do you navigate that?
I just hope for the best, honestly. Like my husband is very big on not like he didn't vote the first few times we're married. And finally I was like, you have to vote, because he's like, well, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. And I'm like, it affects our kids. Like you have to think about our kids and the country that they're going to live in and the world they're going to live in. and we have to make those for them. Whether we care either way, we have to get out there and make sure that we're setting them up for success, because we're not going to be here. I mean, we'll be gone, and our kids will be grandparents, and they'll have grandkids, and we've got to look out for the generations to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I could say something, we're not the most religious household, but we study religious studies is compulsory to study in the UK, and your school teaches you 2 religious subjects. And one thing that stuck with me was the concept of stewardship, and how I think it's in the Bible, it says that we're stewards of the planet. We like I said, I'm not religious, so my interpretation might not be the most accurate, but what I took away from that was that we don't own the planet. We're just borrowing it from the people who are coming. And so our aim is to give them the best thing that we can give them. So that means doing our bit and voting, doing our bit and looking after the environment. But if we're talking about the environment, there's only so much we as individuals can do when the big companies and the big industries are the ones polluting it. I really don't think me taking public transport and not driving is going to make an impact, but it's never going to make as big of an impact as if these big factories, until they sort themselves out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big kind of dilemmas of this. We can go ahead and do everything, and we should do everything that we can. Yes. But I really like that idea that like we're essentially the stewards, and who actually owns the planet are the generations ahead of us. And I just thinking like, if we're the renters and your grandchildren are our landlords, we have got a lot of explaining to do. We're not going to get our security deposit back, folks. I'm just going to say that. No. I don't know if anybody on this panel is a Star Trek fan. Anybody watch Star Trek? No, but like I keep waiting. Every First Contact Day rolls around. I think it's in April, where like the day, according to Star Trek lore, like aliens first make contact with human beings because we crossed this threshold. Every first kind of like, let hopefully it happens this time so we can actually like have a fighting chance. But at the same time, be careful what you wish for, because the other concept about, is there intelligent life out there is like, if there is, it's probably best that they don't find us because we're not ready for it. Does anybody have any thoughts on that as we wrap up our discussion on space? Are we out here on our own, Ashley, or?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I think aliens are, like I said, cool concept, fascinating concept, but we can't explore space enough, so who knows?
Yeah, seriously. Sierra, any thoughts from you?
I mean, I think we're naive to think we're all that's out there. But I think that's a pretty common thought here, is that we're it. And I'm like, if this is the best we got, I don't know. I feel like there's got to be something out there that's doing a little better.
Yeah, man. Like if we're really the best that life has to offer, where's the receipt? Where's the the exchange? You know what I mean? Lekhika, our space person, you want to wrap us up on this conversation? Do you think that there's life outside?
110%. There is not a chance in a galaxy that is as big as in the universe that's as big as the one that we live in, when we are at the edge, not even at the center of the Milky Way. There is not a chance there is not life out there, right? And that I could talk about this for hours, about time and space and all of that. But I think you're right. We're not ready. We're not ready for interactions with another. We cannot even have good interactions with the people on the same planet as us. I don't think we need to have interactions with another entire, group of intelligent life, as you said. But 110%. And I hope that we find something in my lifetime. I would love to, at some point in my life, whether I'm 90 or, whether in the next 2 years, find out that there is some form of intelligent life, but 110%. There has to be something else out.
Yeah, as the great American poet's Destiny Child once said, I don't think you're ready for that jelly. And I think in this case, the jelly is extraterrestrial life. So with that being said, we are going to throw it to a quick break. We will be right back. And I think we're going to switch the conversation to a little bit more pop culture. We'll be back after these messages.
Welcome back, everybody, to Doing the Thing. I am Lekhika Chaudhary, and we are going into our last segment of the show, where we are going to talk about something very interesting. For those of you guys who know me, you know that I love bringing the law into everything. And we're talking about Baby Reindeer, which I still haven't watched, but everyone who knows me knows that I watch things 3 years after they come out. But when it comes to Baby Reindeer, we know that Fiona Harvey, who's identified herself as one of the main characters, Martha, in the show, has sued Netflix for over $170 million. And she's done this for defamation, for negligence, and for privacy violations. And it's very interesting because she was not mentioned in the show. people were digging around trying to figure out who she was, and I'm sure at some point some FBI detective that's on the internet, like we all are lately on social media, would have figured out who she was. But she made the decision to essentially out herself, and now she's decided that she wants to go and sue Netflix because they didn't take care of her privacy enough. And that's very interesting to me. So I wanted to know, first of all, has anybody here watched the show? And anybody who has seen it, what's everyone's comments on this? Eric, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I've started it. I have not finished it yet. But I will say I have. I think we might have a fight here, Lekhika, because I think you and I might disagree on this. But I love you. So here's my thoughts on this. To me, this particular lawsuit, we'll just look at this one explicitly, is kind of feels frivolous to me, as she self-identified. If this was a show that specifically identified this person as the person who is obviously portrayed in a negative way, it's not a great portrayal, let's say that. That's one thing, and we can have that conversation later. But she came forward, and she didn't just come forward. She's been doing the press tour. Like, my Instagram reels, I'm old, I'm on TikTok, but like my algorithm is like either Michael Jackson things or her doing responses to interviews where they ask her things, like Piers Morgan's asking her, she's talking about her eidetic memory where she can remember everything. He asks her simple questions and she cannot do it. Like, you can't claim invasion of privacy and simultaneously be what I call on the host role for publicity. You just can't. Those two things don't make sense. Broadly, my issue with this is because you have done something that is tawdry or let's just say bad behavior, does not mean that someone to whom you have done that to, your victim, will use that terminology, should not be able to tell their story. That is their story, and they have a right to tell their story, not to protect you, the person who victimized them. That's the way I look at it.
No, I agree. I don't think we're going to fight over this. I am of a similar belief. Don't worry. No, from a legal mindset, if somebody else had outed her, somebody else had said, oh, I've done the digging, I think it's her, I think it would have been then there was a case. But she's gone on and said it's me. I don't think there's a case. Ashley, Sierra, what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you think that she's right in suing Netflix? Has there been a breach of her privacy?
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to get in my soapbox?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'll probably be shorter.
Okay.
So, like I've said, I live under a rock. So I'd never even heard of Baby Reindeer until I got the rundown of what we're doing today, and I was like, oh gosh, I better look into that. So haven't seen it, but yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys say, that basically if it really had been people digging and outing her, then yeah, 100% I think Netflix should have a little bit of blame. But she came out, outed herself, so they protected her. She outed herself. They did not. So I think they did. I mean, obviously not a lawyer. I don't have any of that experience, but we are a true crime podcast. So we know a lot. I mean, we're not experts or anything, but we know a lot about true crime. And here in the US, it's public record. Like, if she was convicted of a crime, it's public record. So, I mean, no, she shouldn't really be protected she outed herself and it's all public record. So.
All right, so now that I know my box, like Ashley said, Widows Wick is a humorous true crime podcast. So I was like, this is right up our alley. Let's talk about Baby Reindeer. I agree. She outed herself 100%. She was also never actually convicted of anything. So really, she completely outed herself because there is no public record of her even doing any of these crimes. And also the victim, again, like, he has the right to tell a story, and I don't feel like she should be being protected really at all. But I think Netflix did a pretty good job of protecting her privacy. They didn't at any point name her, and there are good internet sleuths out there, but had she not confirmed it, I don't think there would have been any confirmation whatsoever that it was her. So we did a whole, for Christmas, we do Podcastmas, and we do 12 days of true crime, and we do it leading up to Christmas Eve. So this past year, we actually did stalkings, and we did 12 days of stalkings. And can I just tell you the mental drain it put on us from listening to and just researching victims that went to police and nothing was done for them at all. And they really don't even get to tell their stories because most of them ended up being either injured by their stalker or killed by their stalker. So, I mean, for the fact that he got to tell his story, I think, is great. And I think if she would have just been quiet, no one would have known it was her. There was actually speculation it was someone else prior to her coming out. I think she just wanted some fame and she wanted to let everyone know, like, hey, this is about me, since it was doing so well on Netflix.
Yeah, I agree. And I think by choosing to make that decision, and when it comes to people in social media, people on TV, people on Netflix, people in movies, they automatically, and I'm not saying if that's a good or a bad thing, but they automatically have a lower right to privacy. I'm not saying stalk them into the bathrooms and follow them. That's creepy and weird, and I hate it when people do that. But automatically they are someone who is in our viewpoint, right? And it's the same with like politicians as well. We hold them to not a higher standard, but we assume that we can know more about their lives because they're sharing their lives with us. So in a broader point of view, because she made the decision and her case will get thrown out 110%. Like I don't think it has legs to stand on, and I can't wait for it to be thrown out. But from a broader point of view, and I was talking about this a couple of years ago with somebody because I was debating doing a PhD in this, in the fact that and I was talking from a slightly different point of view about kids of famous people. Should they expect a lower right of privacy? But if we look at their parents and the people who are in the social media, in the public eye, then 110% it's a given, and they've made the active choice. Their kids may not have, because they were born into, like, you can't say that Angelina Jolie's kids, for example, chose that life. They were just her kids, right? But she herself has chosen it, so I feel like they just have a lower right to privacy.
And I think we've seen that swing in the last decade or so since social media has taken hold. Like you mentioned, Angelina Jolie, Madonna had her children very front and center when they were growing up. And now when I look at a lot of the celebrities who are having kids at this point, many of them are keeping their, not necessarily the identities, but very, very rarely do you see them sharing photos or bringing their kids up until they're in their teens. When they're kids, they are very explicitly keeping them out of the public view because they saw what happened around the Madonna, the Britney Spears and her kids, etc. Like, it became a media circus, and those kids, they really didn't have a regular childhood. Well, they had a regular childhood anyway because they were children of famous people. No, but it was never their choice. And I think that is a big issue.
Yeah. And one thing that I like about Bollywood, about India's version of Hollywood, is that very rarely do you see the kids until the parents actively choose. So for example, some of our biggest actors, you don't see their kids. You know they have kids, and then you don't see them until they're a certain age. And the only ones that you see are the ones who are now 18 plus, choosing to go into acting or music or whatever it is. And I think that's really important, and it links to true crime as well, right? Because I feel like the more you expose kids to social media, that's just very problematic in my opinion. Like, I don't get why people have these TikTok accounts and they're just all about their kids. Is that something you guys have covered on your podcast, things to do with like the impact of social media on crimes?
For sure. I think that's come up numerous times, not even just social media, but just like Xbox Live and like video games and just really any sort of live chatting. I mean, it does come up quite often, I would say, that we've had different just cases revolve around that.
Yeah, and I think it's a big thing because we assume they have a lower right to privacy, but we don't, and people forget that. And young kids can't advocate for themselves. This is very My Sister's Keeper, very slightly different version of it, but the whole, they can't advocate for themselves. And it's good that celebrities are stopping it now, because I hope that trend then follows on to the influencers on social media, and they're like, oh wait, we're not seeing so much but of these people and their kids, so maybe we shouldn't do so much. I don't know. We'll have to see. But that, you guys, that is all we have time for on Doing the Thing today. Thank you guys for being here with me, as if it was all me. No, thank you all for being here with me. Where can our listeners find you, Eric?
So they can find me at greatpopculturedebate.com. That's our website. It has all of our episodes. We are available wherever you listen to podcasts, so please go and find some of our episodes and come to the website and vote on polls. You actually determine what we debate next, and your say actually determines the things that we talk about on the episodes.
Amazing. And Ashley and Sierra, where can we find you guys?
Weekly Dose of Wicked is available on all major podcasting platforms. We're also on TikTok, YouTube, and all social media. Just type in Cletos are wicked and we pop up. We're the only ones.
Amazing. I will follow you guys for sure. And you guys can find me every Sunday live on Wizard Radio at 12. And to everyone listening, remember to catch new episodes of Doing the Thing live on Wizard Radio every Sunday from 8 UK time and on all podcast platforms from Monday. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.